Hey everyone, I am here with the first two episodes of Married at First Sight, Austin, season 19. Um, and I'll only cover episodes one and two because as of right now, those are the only two episodes that we have, I have seen so far. All the first four episodes are up on Peacock, but um, as of right now, um, as of right now, um, I've only seen those two episodes. Um, with that, we will get into the first episode. Now, when we get to the first episode, we sort of start off with the first couple, which is Josh and Jalen. Um, Now, usually what they've done, for the longest time, is they've done sort of like a separate episode before getting into, the actual couples that they picked, meaning like a matchmaking episode. And normally like if you buy like the season or you happen to watch it since this was previously on uh Lifetime, that you could watch that episode first that would start before the main season started, and then you could see like what these people said and all that stuff. And I think in this case they sort of incorporated um the questions that they asked participants before they picked them. So it's not necessarily like a separate a separate matchmaking episode specifically, um, which is why they wanted to cut down on as many episodes, because if y'all watched the last few seasons, y'all know that that ran for literally 6 months, from like October, like beginning or middle of October, and then going until like um April of the following year. So yeah, it's um I mean the matchmaking episode has nothing to do with that, but like I guess they just didn't want to add another episode because I think it's like 12 or 13 episodes with like the reunion. So yeah, but anyway, getting into the first wedding, it's as you see, it's Josh and Jalen. Um, and they're sort of like interviewing them, and as they're introducing them, and I was like, the first thing that came out of her mouth was like, I have to be married, and have a family, or start a family by 30. And I'm like, we need to get rid of this notion that we have to get married and start a family by a certain time, because to me that's synonymous with, and this will come up later in the next couple, but um seeing all of your friends and family married, and you're the odd person out. um that's sort of synonymous, because like you're rushing to get into a relationship at any means, or by any means necessary. um and I'm sorry, there's this neighbor on the first floor who just insists on taking their motorcycle out at random times, and it's just like, of course he picks the time to do it now, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, to me, saying that I have to get married by a certain age is just, you're rushing yourself. You're literally rushing yourself, and so therefore you cannot vet properly when you're rushing the process. And that's how you miss things with people and how they end up sort of showing up. Because if they're not in the best headspace, or and they're not, um, actively trying to combat things that they may have seen in their past, um, or stuff like that, then I mean, they're gonna not show up as the best version of themselves, and you're gonna end up missing that because you're in a rush to get married because you have to do it by a certain age, or because you feel like since everyone else is married, everyone around you was married, then you have to be married too. Like that, it's just no, like, and so then you end up becoming desperate. Um, so, coming onto a show like this, it's like you're not always guaranteed. As we've seen, you're not always guaranteed the best person because they can put up a mask and fool the quote unquote experts. So, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on her. We found out a little bit about Josh and his past. First we see his past or hear about his past, which is that when he was 3, his mom had gone to prison. For what we don't know, that's his to share, but we don't know. He might share that later. We might not, or he might share it on, um, privately without showing it on camera. Um, and she was there in prison until he was about 16. And when she got out, he learned to not trust her. So um, as a result, he was raised by his grandparents. I assume by his maternal grandparents, because he also then states that his dad wasn't in his life while he was growing up. Um, and because he never knew his dad, he had done a DNA test and found a match with his aunt, so his father's sister. And now they, sort of, talk every day. His father, texts him every morning saying, "Hey, son, I hope you have a good day," and all that stuff. Now, for Jalen, she feels like her parents, who happen to be high school sweethearts, were never in love with each other. They may have loved each other, but they weren't in love. And so she feels like they stayed together because of her and her brother, um, who happens to be her twin brother, by the way. And they eventually did get a divorce after she had finished college. Um, now, with past like theirs, I'm wondering, I'm hoping that they sort of at least started to work through all that stuff, and realize that they may have some underlying um, issues because of it, and they're not gonna end up self sabotaging themselves, or anything like that. But yeah. On their specific wedding day, Josh says that he will not introduce his mom to his wife and eventual kids because he just can't trust her. We also found out that he did not invite his dad because he doesn't feel like he knows his father well enough to invite him to such an event, which is understandable, I guess. I won't hold that over him because I'm not sure how long they've been in contact, but from what I can hear, or from what I'm hearing, maybe they haven't been in contact that long. It's like it's only been like the feeling I get is like a few months at least, and a year, 1 to 3 years at most. But I don't know. Now, Jalen says that while she was in a relationship with a cheater, the ex right before that cheater that she was madly in love with had died. And so she felt like her whole world had been turned upside down and all that. Um, has you processed that? Because and I didn't think of it at the time when I was watching the episode, but there was a there was a participant, and um, I believe it was the first Philly season. Um, Let me see. When was it? I Let me see. Um, yeah, it was the first Philly season. Um, I believe her name was Jacqueline. She had this was a slightly different situation with Jacqueline, but she had a fiance who had unexpectedly died. I don't remember how long before it was that she signed up for Married at First Sight. It could have been at least a year, if not longer. So yeah, it was a slightly different situation, but still, like, this is someone that you claim that you're madly in love with. Have you actively worked through your grief with that? Because I imagine there's some sort of grief attached to that. So I'm wondering, has she worked through that at least somewhat, if not like actively working on it currently, or when this happened, like when she was on Married at First Sight. So yeah, anyways. Um as they're getting dressed and ready, Josh then gets a present from Jalen. It's From what I can see, the only thing that I saw in the box was a pair of pom poms, and a note saying that she will be his biggest cheerleader. And he starts tearing up at that, because I guess maybe he just feel like he didn't have a cheerleader in his corner, from, in I guess the form of his mom. He didn't say that, but I'm just speculating. That's just from what I can gather, perhaps based off of this that scene. But one question I got for Josh though, um, did you get her a gift? Because I didn't see her get a gift from you. Perhaps that was just editing and they just took that out. But Josh, if you're watching this, I'm gonna need to know if you had gotten her a gift, because why is it that she got you a gift but you didn't get her one? Um, and just so y'all know, I am in Texas, and I am in a suburb, so to speak, of Austin. So I'm not that far away. So if Josh wants to come up and explain certain things that we see throughout the season, or any of these people, I'm more than happy to like give a space to y'all. And like, once the season is over and we see everything and all that. If y'all want to say something and get interviewed, I'm more than happy. Just to kind of put that out there. But I'm wondering, Josh, if you got her a gift, because like, why is it that she got you a gift but you didn't get her one that we saw? So like I said, if we just didn't see it because you know editing took it out, then I'll apologize. I didn't see that. Now moving on. We see then, Jalen and her father. I think her father's name is Joe Senior. Um, where they're just about to walk down the aisle, like he's about to walk down the aisle, and I'm wondering, like, it feels like it's supposed to be a touching moment, but what ends up happening is that her father recounts a few moments in their past where he ends up turning around and bringing her back home so that way she can change. One instance was that I think she was like in sixth or seventh grade, and she was wearing makeup, and he noticed that she was wearing makeup in, I guess, the rear view mirror, and so he doubles back to the house and makes her take off that makeup. But and then he says, "Well, you're wearing makeup today, and you look pretty." And then he's like, "Well, I remember um, when you were going to your prom, you had a short dress on, and I turned back around and forced you to put on a longer dress. And I see you in your wedding dress here, and you're very pretty." Like, I get the sort of sentiment behind it, but it feels very much like a humiliation ritual. I'm sorry, I felt very icky about that because why are you like? I would be personally freaking humiliated if my dad on my wedding day had said, "Well, you were wearing makeup in seventh grade, and I didn't like it, so I made you go home and wash that off before you went to school. And for your prom, when I saw you in a short dress, I made you go back home and put on a longer dress because I didn't like you in a skimpy outfit." Like what? I'm sorry, but that seemed I get it. They're from a Hispanic culture. I get it that culture is different, but the way he did it is, and the way he phrased it was very humiliation ritual to me. And I'm like, why would you of all times say that then on camera? Like that just inconceivable to me. I'm just like inconceivable to me. I'm like, why? Like, you could not waterboard that information out of me at all. And that's not the first time I'm gonna think this either, because I'm like, what is with y'all? I don't get it. Anyways, so they she walks down the aisle, and he is extremely happy to see Jalen. He is ecstatic. So at least we know he's attracted to her. At bare minimum, he's attracted to her. Um, so which is, I mean, compared to like how like if a man is like seriously like quiet as a mouse, uh, that he could be at in this process at this stage of the process. Yeah, I guess that's better than nothing at all. So I mean, anyways, so the next couple, the next wedding that we see this day, this episode is Will and Brittany. Now I got my own issues with this couple. But so kind of getting a little background on them. Brittany says that while she grew up in a two-parent household, she feels like she has not seen her parents show affection to each other, meaning like giving a hug or a kiss to each other, which, um, yeah, I mean, because I'm a product of divorce myself, um, like a lot of kids, so um, I never really saw um affection between like even a the primary parent that I was living with and like say a step parent. Um, so I mean, I guess I kind of sympathize and empathize with her a little bit on that aspect. Even though it's not technically the same. Now with Will, his parents divorced when he was 12, but he has seen his grandparents together for over 30 years, which is, I think, a good thing to see personally. Um, Now this is where this is where I kind of brought it up earlier with the whole rushing to get married before a certain age, and how I said that um, seeing everyone around you, like seeing everyone else around you be married and in love and all that, is not good either. Well, Will says he all of his friends are married and in love, and it's giving he's not really ready to be in a relationship, let alone married, because he more often than not that means that he's trying to rush to catch up to everyone around him. Um, and he's not really genuinely ready to be someone's husband, because that to me means that you're going to settle. So you're not the only one either not engaged or married. Um, and that's just as bad as trying to get married by a certain age, and because you feel like you're not going to be worthy of love if you're not married by, you know, um, X age or whatever. So it's like, um, and to me, like if you saw the trailer for this season, um, we see Brittany on what looks like D-Day saying, um, like in a low voice that's like breaking and all that she can't, that like, or we can't do this, or so it seemed. So that kind of explains like why, you know, um, we we may see something like that, because it's like it doesn't seem like he's really that ready um to be in a relationship, let alone a marriage. And to me, kind of really not her either, because and then in like one of the scenes where she's getting ready for her wedding, I believe one of her sisters asks her, well, why did you uh sign up for Married at First Sight? And she said, well, I'm big on commitment. Um, but for some reason, all of these relationships that I try to get into, none make it past the 3 month mark. Um, and maybe it's just me, but I get the little hint that she possibly could be um feeling desperate. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say that wholeheartedly. It's just a little inkling that I may have gotten. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that full stop, but you know, uh, yeah. I just I'm hoping that these ladies, so far these ladies, um and so far Will are not doing these things, like getting into marriage at first sight because they feel desperate. Um, I just hope so. Anyway, so a little bit more that we hear from about Brittany is that she had an older sister named Ebony who passed away from COVID in 2020. And my condolences to her if she is watching, because that no one should have to go through a sibling or a family member pass, and especially because of COVID and all that. So I'm hoping for lots of peace for you and your, especially for your mom, because she definitely looked like she was so very much hurting. And so I'm hoping very for peace for all of you in the absence of your sister. So But anyway, so moving on to the after the ceremony for Brittany and Will. Um, and we kind of saw. I believe there was a sneak peek on Peacock for them. Um, and so in that sneak peek, you saw him sort of. You saw their wedding ceremony, so part of their wedding ceremony at the very least, if not the entire thing, and then them sitting down after immediately after that, and then them talking and all that. And I don't know. He's saying that he's attracted to her, but everything he's showing doesn't really seem like he is into her. From the side church hug that he gave her, to the facial expressions in the reception, um, when they were talking during a certain point, and then pretty much echoing everything that she said in the conversation right after the ceremony. It just it's not give is I'm not convinced that he is as into her as he's claiming, unfortunately. Um, because it seems their conversation is very dry. And this is even more exasperated during the reception in episode 2. Um, I mean, he could just be nervous, but that's not the vibe I'm getting from someone who is nervous. He does not. I'm so sorry, Will. You just don't seem that into her. Um, and like I said, I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion from what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing is that you don't really like her like that. And I mean, she's a very pretty woman, so I mean, if that's the case, then I feel like you're gonna miss out. But um, yeah, oh, the reception actually was in episode 1. I thought it was episode 2 because I just finished episode 2 like 30 minutes ago, so I thought it was part of episode 2. But yeah, so they get to their reception, and basically they're talking, and um she was kind of hinting out, like, what would they do when the reception is over and they get to their hotel room um for the first night and all that. And he's like, well, I'm pretty tired right now, so I just want to go to sleep. So I'm sitting here like, now boy, you know full and dang on well what she's trying to put down, because she even asked a question separately, do you not even want to cuddle? And or do you like, and she, oh no, she asked, do you like to cuddle? And he was like, well, I guess you'll find out. It's like, okay, because he is given, if you watch season 18, it's giving Ike. And if you've seen it, you know. Um, because this is even furthered when Will meets with Brittany's mom and dad. And her dad specifically asks pointed questions about religion specifically. Um, his father asks, are you religious? And he's, I guess, halfway answered it. Um, he's not, he said he's not too religious. despite being brought up in or going to like Catholic and Christian schools his whole life. But then he kind of goes on a slight tangent and tries to talk more about stuff that's not really relevant um, in regards to if he's religious. And then he just rambles on about nothing. I mean, it's religion esque, but it's not in regards to the specific question. And I'm just like, Will, can you? I mean, again, he could just be nervous, but I don't know. Like, you were asked a very specific question, and it could just be the fact that the cameras are there, and he's extremely nervous about the cameras. But like, I don't know, um, because her father asked specifically, "Well, what religion are your parents?" Um, and he starts going off about the Crusades and them, like the reason for the Crusades was because you're persecuting people, and I'm like, okay, that's not what he asked though. Like that is not what he asked. He asked specifically, what is your parent? What do your parents practice religion wise? And all you had to say was, well, since I don't particularly practice a certain religion myself, I don't know if they continue to practice the religion that I grew up in, or the kind of different religions I grew up in, or if they really practice a different kind of religion. And I can introduce you to my parents, and then you can sort of speak to them about that. But I myself am agnostic, which is what he said initially. Was like, I'm agnostic. Um, and I think he explained that rather well, because her mom was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, that doesn't, I believe there's a higher power. I just don't necessarily put a specific name and face to said higher power. And that, I think he, basically said that rather well. It's just that with the pointed parent question about religion, he seemed to falter really badly on that. And so I'm just like, mm, I mean, yeah, I was getting, unfortunately, too much Ike from that. Like, not saying that he's exactly like Ike, but I was feeling like he was doing a lot of word salad, and I was just like, You're going to need to kind of, uh, you're gonna need to like do something a little bit better here on explaining things, because yeah, I mean, um, short of you, um, practicing what you're gonna say in front of the cameras, like, I don't know. You're just gonna be floundering, in my opinion, throughout the season. So I don't know. Anyways, so the last scene of the episode is where Josh goes to talk with um, Jalen's mom and dad, and we come to find out that Belinda and Jalen are the ones that are the mom and daughter duo. Um, so because like I said, in my initial video about meeting the cast, I was under the assumption that Belinda and um, Rhonda were the mom and daughter duo, because that's what the word on the street was with that one article. But I wasn't gonna say 100% that that's who it was, because that was just one post or one article that I read online. So that's why I was like, I put like a question mark between the two. But yeah, so it turns out it's Belinda and Jalen who are the mom and daughter duo who are on this particular season. Now, going into episode 2, we start off with the third couple that was matched, which is Megan and Derek. Um, Megan states that she would have done well in a culture that has arranged marriages. Um, and my first thought was to say, well, why aren't you there in that culture? But then I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I shouldn't think that, because it's like, well, you're on the show, and the whole point is to be arranged, at be an arranged marriage. So, mm, she states that she is willing to be with someone who makes less than her, as long as he loves his job and he's working on himself. Um, they both seem to want the smexuals on a daily basis. Um, she froze her eggs so she didn't have the pressure to have kids right away, and thus with the wrong person. Which kudos to her, because like we we hear all the time about how um whether it's a man or a woman who has kids with someone who they feel like they shouldn't have had kids with, um all the time. um so and unfortunately for with Derek, though, he makes this like off the wall quote unquote joke about, because Pastor Cal had asked him, well, what if she wants one kid and you want more? Which says that he does want more than one child. He's like, well, I'm gonna um, convince her to have more than one kid. I'm like, okay, hold up there, dude. Please, like, hold up. Why did you, what? Like, why did you, like, not, like, that just sounds icky to me. If she just wants one kid, then she just wants one kid. Like, why are we trying to, quote unquote, low key trying to force people to have more kids than they want? And I don't mean to say that that's his intention, is to force her, like that's the at the forefront of his mind, but uh, subconsciously that's what you're gonna do, because I mean, what if can't end up having more kids after the one? Like, heaven forbid, like what if that happens where she can't have more kids after the one that you guys have? What's I mean, like at least naturally. I mean, are you then gonna say, "Well, we're gonna adopt a kid"? Like she said that she doesn't want any more kids. So what then? Like you're gonna have to live with it or get divorced before you ever have kids, because at the end of the day, she doesn't want she if she doesn't want any more kids, that's her right to not have any more kids. So, Derek, you're kind of losing me here. You're kind of losing me here. Um, so on their actual wedding day, as they're getting ready, Megan receives a ring box, I should say, from Derek. Um, I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of a ring box is for. I mean, I guess to put in the ring, the like her ring or rings, if she has the wedding band and the engagement ring. Um, so that like if she needs to take it off, she can put it in there. But I guess maybe, but I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the point of that is. I mean, maybe someone who's married can help me out with that, because I'm confusion about that. So, um, So she reads the card, and she's telling her mom after she reads the card that she has to be nice since the card sounded nice. And so my immediate thought was like, her mom sound like she made her mom out to be like her mom is Hell on Wheels. Not saying that her mom was actually Hell on Wheels, but that's what Megan's to me. What it sounded like was that her mom was Hell on Wheels. Now, Megan recently got into ice baths, and so she gifted Derek an ice bath. And I'm not so sure that he really liked it. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure he liked it, and he might give her what for that, and be like, well, you might like ice baths, but that doesn't mean that I like ice baths. So I don't know why in the world you gave me an ice bath, but um, yeah. Anyways, just a little side note before I continue on with the rest of Megan and Derek's portion of this episode and on to the fourth wedding. But I'm glad that in these two episodes we didn't get the men and women mingling before the um the weddings, because ever since I want to say season 8 for sure, but I think a little bit with season 7. It wasn't entirely season 7, but at least since season 8 for sure, they've had the couples mingle with each other um throughout the process. Maybe not entirely in season 8, 7 and 8, but for sure by season 9 they had these couples, because that's when they introduced the shared apartments in season 9, I believe. And um, ever since for sure season 9, they had the couples mingle with each other, and I think even go on the honeymoon together, interact with each other on the honeymoon. And that definitely was for sure by season 10. But I think they started in season 9 because I know that's when they introduced like I said, the shared apartments. So far, like I said, after seeing only the first two episodes, um, you know, I'm glad that they didn't necessarily seem to interact. That could all change in episodes 3 and 4. But as of right now, I'm glad that they didn't have, because usually what they do is they had the women all meet each other, and then the men all meet each other separately. And then they have the women go pick out dresses, and then they have the women and the men go pick out the tuxes, and then they have the men and women had their separate bachelorette and bachelor parties all together. And it's been something when we see all that happen with the participants mingling with each other, albeit in their specific gender groups. But you know, I just thought I'd note that. But um, we come to find out that Megan's dad got diagnosed with skin cancer and had to have the skin on his nose removed, which is why specifically isn't there and able to. Um, he isn't specifically able to walk her down the aisle. Um, Now she has a brother who could have, but he is a very private person, and so he decided not to be a participant in this show, even if very low participation on his part. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna walk myself down the aisle because I'm an independent woman and I pay my own bills. And just like, I think I kind of see why maybe her family doesn't mess with her like that, because her, because it was crickets, literal crickets after she said that, and she kind of pursed her lips together when nobody said anything and like clapped for her, and because they were sitting there like, okay, girl, calm down, simmer down, like you're doing a little bit too much here. Um, but um, yeah, when uh Derek and I was gonna call it Ashley. Sorry, Derek and Megan get married, and um, they sit down to talk right after the ceremony. He says that he's only been in Austin since September, and this is last year. This is 2024, and so I'm assuming they got married. In November or December because um, when I was watching Will and Brittany's after ceremony discussion, and I believe even Josh and Jalen's after discussion or after ceremony discussion, I believe both of them had like a blanket around them. Definitely Brittany did, but um, I don't remember if Jalen did though. But it doesn't get that cold here in Central Texas um, in October. At least not last year. I remember that. I remember last year did not get that cold in um, in August or in October. Hell, even right now, it's 82 degrees right now. This is towards the end of October. Um, it's not supposed to get below 60 until next Tuesday. So that's when that's when we're starting to get in the cooler lows is next week. So this was about the time that um it started to get a little. I mean, actually, I don't even think it's. I think it was actually in the low 80s to like mid 90s last year for Halloween. To be quite honest, if memory serves. So I think this was filmed in at the earliest November, early November, and at the latest mid December last year. And then obviously the process is usually 8 weeks at this point. So it at the earliest would have ended late December around Christmas time, and then or at the earliest late December, and then um, at the latest um, maybe mid January, um, mid to late January. So I mean, yeah, I don't know what like why is he it, it's giving that different people from Matt Gwynn season 9 to Ike from last season to Steve Moy from second Boston season. So I'm like, I don't know. It seems like he picked the closest city that Mass was going to sign up for this process because out of his own mouth he's ready to settle down and create roots somewhere. And it just so happened that they were coming to Austin, and he was desperate to get a wife, because he couldn't get someone on his own. So he was like, "I'm desperate to get a wife." I mean, luckily, according to him, he's um, heavily attracted to Megan, but but and she's heavily attracted to him, when later in the episode, but I mean, wow. Okay, so just kind of quickly get into the last wedding of episode 2, which is um Rhonda and Pat. Um we hear that Rhonda had she was her first marriage. She had 4 kids within that marriage, but it didn't work out. So she divorced him and then married again. I think a few years later, but that marriage ended after 18 months. Pat was married for 30 years, had 2 sons within that marriage, um, in Phoenix, Arizona, and then he at some point knew he wanted out of that marriage, but he didn't want to put his kids through a divorce. So he was, I guess, trying to wait until they became adults before he put them through a divorce, like put himself, his kids, and his wife through divorce. So, but ultimately, he says the reason for the divorce was because he wasn't getting any sexual relations. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel kind of conflicted. Um, so once I kind of process that more, maybe I can, you know, talk on that a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't know how I really feel about that at the moment. Um, One thing I want to mention is that Rhonda reminds me of Sylvia from Love Is Blind Brazil season 5. If you watch that season, and Elsid, if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. Um, because we talked about it extensively when we were talking about um, Love Is Blind Brazil season 5 on your channel. So you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. um, Pat makes a statement saying that a lot of people his age don't seem to want to commit while on the way to the venue to get dressed and all that. And I just want to say, Pat, that seems like a lot of people nowadays, not just older people. So it's not exclusive to the elder generation. Just so you know, it's not exclusive to y'all. It because I'm full disclosure. I'm 33. It doesn't seem like anyone who is commitment minded around my age either. So you're not alone there, my guy. So um, Rhonda decides to wear a red wedding dress, which is bold. I think that's a bold choice. I think that actually that color is a good color on her. Or uh, mm, yeah, I think it's a good color on her. My only thing is that it looks either like a prom dress or like a formal evening attire dress that it's just something that you wouldn't necessarily wear to a wedding. It looks more something like you would wear to a ball, or just like um I can't remember. It's not like not a cotillion, because cotillions are usually for like women, young ladies between ages like 15 and 18. But so it's not like a cotillion, but I can't remember like the name of the event is like escaping me. But basically just like a formal event um that you will go to, and it's just like ah I don't know, maybe it's the slit of the left leg that kind of, and the fact that it's kind of like ruffled is where the dress is losing me. Not the fact that it's red, just that, I mean, if maybe she didn't have the slit like that, then maybe I can see it. But the dress in part wasn't working for me, and that's why. But um we after the ceremony, we hear that Pat lives with his mama. Um, and he explains that he's living with her because of the fact that his dad died. As of right now, his dad died 3.5 years ago. But at the time, it was almost 3 years ago because he died in April of 2022. Um, and at the time, it had only been 2 years, like 2.5 years. And he was trying to help her out, and I don't know. I still don't. Mm, I don't know. I don't know how I. My first inkling is to not like that. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to kind of like not be as judgmental about that, given the explanation he gave us. So I don't know. I don't know, because my first thought is no. Why did you say that? Because the only reason why I say that is because not that many, regardless of the reason behind you moving in, not many people are going to receive it. See the fact that you are living at home well. They're not going to receive it well. So I'm like, I don't know I don't know if Rhonda's gonna like that too much. I mean, I don't know if it's just because she was plied with a lot, like, or she had a lot of alcohol in her system. And that's why it kind of didn't seem to phase her, but we'll see. Now going back to Megan and Derek's wedding, and their reception. Um, she is saying that he's saying that he likes EDM music. Basically, like, to put I'm not saying this is exactly like this, but it may perhaps maybe club music to an extent. Because I think EDM tends to be played in clubs a lot, so maybe um club music, so to speak, but not necessarily all that 100%. Um, and she loves country music. She loves country music. And she's talking to her family and she's like, he loves EDM music and I love country music. It seems like he love like EDM music is akin to being on an acid trip. Okay, Megan, you're starting to lose me here, girl. Like, you're starting to lose me because I understand, being disappointed that he isn't into the music that you specifically like, but there's no reason to be looking down and being judgmental on the type of music that he likes. Um, he didn't do any of that when he found out that you like country music. He just said that it's not his cup of tea. So yeah, please no. Please no. What, like, there was no need to say that. There was no need to say that about his preference in music, because if this is how you're going to act right now, uh, yeah, no. I just no. Um and so the very last thing I want to touch on is Brittany and Will, because they're sort of getting interviewed, and um or they're sort of spotlighted for the last few moments of the episode, and from what I remember, and she said something along the lines of there's this instant chemistry between the two of them. And to me, I'm just wondering, is the instant chemistry in the room with us? Because like I said before, I don't necessarily believe that he um is into her. Um and based off of the preview or the trailer that we have and the promo we have for the upcoming episodes, it doesn't seem that way, especially because she says what she says in one of them. I think the trailer, it doesn't seem like we're even in the same book, let alone the same page. So yeah, I'm just like, what? I don't know. I'm hoping she is not lost in the fact that um she really wants to get married and give her mom a wedding to be a part of, because that's what she mentioned before, is that she because her older sister who had passed away didn't actually get a wedding, and her other sister has never been married. She's the first one to give her mom a wedding that to be a part of. So I'm hoping that, in her wanting to give her mom a wedding, she's just not settling for going on the show to be the first to give her mom a wedding, um, and therefore miss the fact that he really is just not that into her at all. Now, this is the last couple that will get married. Um, Belinda and Chad. We have it's gonna be in episode 3, but that we see that, but they are the last couple. As of right now, like I said, I have not watched episodes 3 and 4, but I will watch that. Hopefully, start episode 3 today and finish it today, and then hopefully get to episode 4 either today or tomorrow, and then I'll definitely end up um, watching or making the video and uploading it by tomorrow afternoon. So here's the hoping that I can, finish like watch it and finish it within pretty quickly. But that's all that happens um, in episodes 1 and 2. Definitely a different start and a better, to me, in some ways, a better start because of the fact that we didn't see the couples commingling, with the exception of Belinda and her daughter Jalen, at the end of episode 1. So, like I said, hopefully, I can, like I said, get the next 2 episodes watched and uploaded by tomorrow. Um, and from now on, it's going to be either 3 episodes or 2. I think the next 2 weeks will be 3 episodes, and then eventually it'll go down to 2 by the end. But um, yeah, let me know what you guys think of the first 2 episodes, or if you're not going to watch the season, what you guys thought of what I said so far. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.